First, you will need to gather your materials. For me, that consisted of a single pole, single throw switch, and some 18 gauge wire. I tapped into the ground wire of the ESOF plug on the passenger fender well. You can see here that there are 3 wires going into the plug. From right to left, they are red, blue with a pink tracer, and gray with a black tracer. I tapped into the gray with a black tracer ground wire. By doing this, I eliminated a hot wire running into the cab. Next, I planned out my connections. The white wire represents the OEM harness. The blue wire represents the new wire that I will be installing to the switch. As you can see, I put male and female connectors on the OEM harness in case I ever wanted to revert back to OEM specs. Because I ordered a custom switch, I needed to verify which position was on and which position was off. I did this with a simple multimeter continuity test. Next, I removed the passenger side battery in order to give myself plenty of space to work. I ran the 2 wires for the ground circuit through a grommet just below the glove box and just above the passenger side carpet. Next, you have to plan where you want to put your switch. I was going to put mine next to the OEM 4x4 selector, so the dash bezel had to come out. Based on the switch you have chosen, mark up the mounting location with a pencil and cut the proper size hole. Be sure to dry fit the switch before putting the dash panel back. Be sure there is plenty of room behind the panel for the switch. After coming through the grommet on the passenger side, I ran the wires behind the stereo and up to the OEM 4x4 switch. I installed female connectors which fit onto the male connectors for the switch. With the wire run up through the dash, I was clear to reinstall the bezel and the switch. I ran the wires behind the fender well liner, under the vacuum pump, and to the connector. Next, I cut the gray and black wire from the OEM connector. I then installed male and female connectors on either side of the OEM harness. This would give me the ability to return it to OEM standards in just a moment. Next, I installed corresponding male and female connectors on the new wire to match up with the OEM harness wire. Again, this would give me the ability to remove the switch entirely in just a few moments. I prefer to use heat shrink when possible to ensure a good and long-lasting connection, especially when in the engine bay. With all of the new male and female connectors installed, I was ready to splice the switch into the ground circuit of the OEM connector. Here are a couple pictures of the OEM connector with the switch spliced in. The blue wire is double backed in itself and protected with wire loom. Using the new ground isolation switch is simple. If you want to use 4x4 as it was designed, leave the switch in auto or on. If you want to use low gear, either in forward or reverse, put the ground isolation switch into manual or off. Well, that is all there is to it. This is something that I feel Ford should have designed into four-wheel drive years ago. This modification will allow you to have low gear in forward and in reverse. Low gear in reverse is especially useful when backing up heavy loads like a fifth wheel trailer.